Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Better SMB Podcast, hosted by myself, Rob Bull, and David Altena. We're here to help small and medium-sized businesses like yours achieve more. Whether you're looking for practical tips, inspiring stories, or expert advice, we've got you covered. Now join us as we continue our dive into the world of business, sharing insights and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Now, before we get into the podcast proper, I've been told to remind you all to hit the like button, follow, do all the things you should be doing to support this podcast. Now, on this episode, David and I have a bit of a fireside chat about innovation and what this could look like in a small and medium business. Like every episode, we bring together a few simple ideas to help you inspire yourself, leaders and business owners to start putting time aside to innovate and improve your business. Hey, heck, it might not actually be as hard as the heading makes it sound. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's get started. On with the podcast.
Welcome back to the Better SMB. I'm David Altena.
And I'm Rob Bull.
For this episode, we wanted to spend a bit of time talking about innovation, what it is, how each of us view it a little differently, how you can start looking for opportunities using innovation as a lens to look at your business, or how you may be constrained from innovating. Rob, this was a subject you picked for us to have a chat around. Why was that?
Innovation, I would say it's one of those top 5 words that really bug me because we use it a lot, but we actually have lost the pure understanding what it is. If you want to sound fancy at a networking event, you go, oh yeah, I'm doing a lot of innovation. And a lot of SMB owners see it as this big mountain that they actually don't have the skills, the knowledge, the ability to do. Whereas they're probably actually doing it. If they slow down and think about what innovation is, most businesses do it on a daily basis, but we veer away from actually owning it. And I guess it's in New Zealand, it's also a bit of a tall poppy syndrome, is, you know, we're just humble and we just do our good job and that's all we do. So why I chose it? Because innovation is one of those whip out white noise statements, but do we really understand it? And that's why I chose it. What is innovation? David, you tell us, because I think you've got a really good handle on innovation and a few other things.
People get confused between innovation and invention, and they're kind of cousins, but they're really different. So innovation, it's the process of improving or applying existing ideas, products or processes in a new way to create value or solve problems. Versus invention. Invention's creating something entirely new. It's never existed before, like a new device or process. We've all got, the crazy inventor kind of persona that we recognize. I don't know, Back to the Future, old Doc. He was a bit of an inventor, right? And inventors, they come up with solutions for problems that aren't actually problems and this sort of thing. But then what's really interesting is at some point, someone will take an invention and they'll apply it in a different way and use it, and then that becomes an innovation to solve a new problem. If you really want to think about the differences between the two, invention is coming up with something totally new. Innovation, it's doing something differently.
And that's what I say is, with innovation, people see different ideas. They might go and see a different business and they will pick those ideas and then blend it into what fits with their business. And that's innovation. I don't think we own that or accept it or see it in that term. So no, that's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I can see how it's a bit of a buzzword, right? The other piece, which I think I'll touch on, is where innovation sits. At the macro level, we talk about vision. Vision is where your business is going. 15, 20 years out, it's something that you'll probably never get to, but it's something that you're striving for. A strategy, so we all talk about strategy, that's where you're going over the next 5 years. What are your big bets? Are you entering new markets? Are you launching key products? Are you acquiring other businesses? Strategy is moving you closer to the vision and addresses how you're getting a competitive advantage, getting and maintaining a competitive advantage, actually. We then talk about a business plan. So a business plan is more tactical. That's about the next 12 months. Now, it's a step to get you to that 5-year strategy. It's got some specific actions, it's got initiatives, it's got the resources you're going to be using, and some targets that you want to get. So if you want to triple your business in the next 5 years, maybe you want to grow by 50% a year over the next however many years. So these are the things that your business plan is going to capture, and it's got milestones on it so that you know that you're headed in the right direction. So we then talk about KPIs. KPIs are about the monthly and quarterly metrics that you're doing in your business, or you're achieving sales metrics, quality metrics, these types of things, reducing rework, and they will show that you're getting progress towards that business plan that you've put out there. Where innovation sits, it's the bridge between what you're looking to do in the next 12 months and what you're looking to do in the next 5 years. Innovation makes sure you stay competitive and you're adaptable. It might be about new technologies. We often think about innovation and technology and we join them together, and it's not always the case. It may just be that you want to improve your processes, or you're going to introduce some new products or services that are going to then contribute to some short-term growth, your business plan, but also your long-term vision. From your side, Rob, like I know you get heavily involved in the process side of things and helping people at that kind of ground level. What's innovation look like with the clients you're working with? Do you even call it innovation?
I think building on what you're just saying is, for me, it's a 2-horse race on this one. It's proactive and reactive. And that proactive innovation is probably aligned that bridge that you talked about around strategy and planning. And that is, what are you doing differently to move towards that vision? And that is those proactive improvements, that's those proactive actions. So it might be like, I've just put into my service a whole new workshop. So to me, that is that proactive innovation around gathering all the different ideas that are happening around the lean world, packaging it together, bringing in some of the stuff that's working for me in some of my other workshops, bringing it together and repackaging it so that is a better offering for potential clients. So to me, that's proactive innovation. It's proactive improvement. And then it's the reactive stuff. And the reactive stuff might be, I need a new form for onboarding the client so that whole client experience is better. Those reactive improvements at the ground level, that's where we engage our teams. That's where we engage our staff around how can we make, how can you make your job better? What's bugging you? What can we fix? And it's looking at the constraints and going, well, with all of that, how could we make this work really well? And we might send you off to a course to learn a new skill, to do something a little bit better. And they apply that information and that new knowledge into their jobs, into their environment. And so I guess I'm sitting here, actually, I've never really thought about this. So this is really off the fly, is to me, innovation equals improvement. So improvement activities equals innovation. Because without knowing it, we're always using other knowledge that we've learnt on YouTube University or at university proper, or a course, a book, and all of that kind of stuff. And we're bringing that knowledge together and applying it into our workplace, our environment where it's, the real stuff happens. And then it is that trial and error to refine that, tune it up, and make it work for us. And sometimes that's not successful. And to me, innovation is always about learning, because not every innovation works, and not every innovation is the best idea, or it might have been a great idea, but really just put out there and tried and didn't work. Might have been the wrong thing at the wrong time, might have been the brilliant time at the wrong time, all of those things. So to me, in my space, that's where innovation sits. It's a proactive, it's a reactive, it's bringing up all the ideas, but it's also having time to do that. And that's where a lot of, I guess, SMBs miss out and forget about, is investing that time. And sometimes it's just putting time aside for team members to innovate, to improve, to think differently.
So I've got a view on innovation. Where you've got a business where you have a layer of leadership and you have a layer of, the team doing the work. I really believe that innovation is something leadership enable, as opposed to something that they try and direct. And so my example here is it's very hard for somebody to be told by leadership, hey, go be innovative.
No, but
Can you come up with something for us,
Yeah. I think the role the role of leadership is to set the true north. So in that stage, I'll go, hey, we want to be the best, or we want to improve quality by 30%, or we want to open up this market. Can you go, you're the experts, David, can you go out and learn about that new market? Or can you go to this conference and learn about what the trends are and bring that back, and we can start applying for that? Or we're going to send you, to a 1-week course or whatever it is. But leadership set the true north about, and that, I guess that's the vision strategy side of things, and then going, tactically, we want you to do this. How about you go and explore it, and then bring back and tell you're the expert in what you're doing. That's why we employ you. Bring it back, and then we'll have that conversation around how those tactics can help us move towards that strategy.
Did you think that's commonplace in New Zealand businesses?
Nope. I think probably a lot. Well, first of all, we've got the stats. It's a couple of years old now, so we'll need to find some new stats. But 50% of SMBs don't have a plan. So that's just your annual plan. That's just, how are we going to get through the next 12 to 18 months, maybe a 24-month plan if you're lucky, right? So a lot of the strong majority of businesses do not have a plan. And of those 50% that didn't have a plan, very small percentage were thinking about writing it or documenting it. My answer to that one is a lot of mum and dad businesses out there, those small, medium businesses out there, the ideas, the vision might be talked about occasionally. It certainly will be sitting, in the owners or the leaders' brains, but they're not putting it on paper, and they're not communicating. They don't have that change plan, which is setting that kind of that burning platform. This is why we need to go in this direction. All of that is not done at all. Probably only in the top 5%, if I'm really generous, top 10% of businesses will work in that space.
Why do you think we're not innovating?
I think we are. I just don't think we acknowledge it as innovation. Well, New Zealand's, known worldwide for innovation. It's only a couple of months ago that we had field days, which is born on innovation. Our farming sector, our tech sector, which you're really embedded in, it's known as innovative, but I just don't think we acknowledge some of those things that we are doing across all of the SMBs kind of sectors and own it as, improvements or business, maturing your business and own it as innovation. So I think we do it. I don't think we acknowledge it or see it as it and call it innovation. And it might be that tall poppy syndrome that, oh God, we're not innovative. We're just doing something that makes sense.
So I've got a note here. I've called it accidental innovation versus innovation on purpose. And I think that's what we're doing, right? We're kind of trying stuff here and there as part of our daily activities. We're not really labeling it innovation. We're not expecting necessarily anything to come from it. And when things do, that's great. What I would like to see is this idea of innovating on purpose. Do you have clients, or do you see this across the business landscape with the organizations you're working with, or the ones you're sort of, thinking of as those aspirational businesses that stand out?
I guess the role that I play with businesses, it probably are those businesses that are quite comfortable in that space. I'm biased in my response, right? Because I do see it a lot. I get to see some really, really smart, insanely talented New Zealand businesses, because they're the ones that have got a great idea. They've invested their time, knowledge, energy into it, and then I come in on the coattails and just help refine their business so it all works smoothly. It is those smart people that see that, systems and processes can catch up with hey, we've got a great idea, and all of a sudden we've got, $4 million worth of sales. We've got to figure out a better way of delivering that. That's kind of the place I've seen. I don't see the businesses who are struggling to think, even putting time aside to innovate, and they're the ones that when I talk to them, they don't have time for improvement, yet they're in that hamster wheel of chaos every day. There's a bit of that the smart ones that are real highly innovation, they're designing, they're putting time 50% into R&D, all of those things. Then they go, actually, we need this kind of stuff to happen as well to support that. Whereas the businesses that are just doing what they've always done are always working in the way they're always working.
So it sounds like innovation's too hard for a lot of businesses out there. And this conversation started off the back of a LinkedIn post that I did around innovation and some of the challenges that I'm seeing from management and leadership layers, not looking to invest into innovation because we're going through a bit of a tight patch at the moment or something like that.
Yep, I think this is probably the other episode that we were talking about, which is let's sort of unpack the E-myth, right? And getting that expert owner out of working in the business and working and investing on the business. So that's number one. And in the lean world, we talk about leader standard work, which is putting at least 20 to 30% of your time into business improvement activities. And that could be writing down your business plan. It could be going out and working alongside the team, not because you're behind on a deadline, but because you want to see what's going on and understand what's bugging the team. It's putting time into investigating different tools that could make the business run just at 5% smoother. So it is working on the business rather than in. And I think we get stuck in running in the business and that flywheel that keeps going on. That's where I think a lot of the SMB owners, leaders get stuck in.
What do you think would be a good circuit breaker to get people thinking along those lines, to make the time to work on the business, even if it's 2 hours a week?
If I knew that answer, my business would be a lot more booked out than what it is. I think there definitely needs to be a lot more stories around what innovation is and getting these stories out into the public. And we do a reasonable amount, but it is still caught up with a lot of bureaucratic sort of noise. I guess, and this goes back to one of our first episodes when we talked about, the banking institutions and their productivity reports and all of that kind of stuff. So all these stories often come out of Callahan Innovation, and they do a great job, but do a lot of businesses actually seek out that knowledge in those stories? Is this the role of the Chamber of Commerce? Is to, they do put on a lot of workshops and guest speakers and all of that, and it's there to inspire, but are they putting out those stories going, hey, this is what it could look like and this is a return on investment, which I know is part of your model around innovation. So I think it is storifying. It's making this a lot more real and a lot more accessible. And that might be around those communities of interest kind of model that the now defunct productivity commissions was talking about, getting some of the bigger businesses to really support and help grow the smaller SMBs in that whole infrastructure and just share the stories. Hey, we put a whole team aside, but maybe you could put one team member aside to work on this, and the outcomes will be X, Y, and Z. So I think it's certainly we need to get better at telling the story, giving the examples, and also sharing the return on that investment. Because at the moment, a lot of SMB owners see this stuff as a cost and not an investment.
Yeah, I think we've got a idea on an episode later on around, is it a cost or is it an investment? So rather than dive down that rabbit hole at the moment, the notes I'm taking here, just from listening to you, point one, make time to work on the business.
And how many times did we hear that statement, right?
Yeah.
We don't, and we get caught. Like, how, we're recording this on a Sunday night. How many business owners are caught up 7:30 tomorrow morning with their phone going off the hook and are starting to fight the same fires they were starting last week? They need the circuit breaker. Circuit breaker is turning the phone off and working on the business, putting it out of the office email. Sorry, I'm actually away for 2 days on a course. And it might be just in your office and absolutely ripping apart everything and rebuilding it.
Yep.
Sorry, I interrupted your statements. Yeah, carry on.
No. So, I mean, point one is take the circuit breaker, like you say, make some time to work on the business. And then, we've talked before around getting that butcher paper out and the Post-it notes and get ideas from the team on what can be improved.
Yep.
Then, because they're the ones who know. They're the ones dealing with all the pain in the ass things that, if this was better, if this was smoother, why are we doing this? It takes me an extra hour to do the job. If those things go away, then things become more straightforward. There's probably a flowingly plug that we could throw in there as well, right? With what Sean's doing. Once you've got those ideas from the team, actually prioritizing them and working out, maybe there's a great idea, but maybe it's really hard. And usually a hard idea equals expensive. So, maybe we can do that one later. But there's probably some quick ones that sit there. So then making some money available, and as part of that prioritization, knowing, hey, if we could change this, is it going to lift our quality? Is it going to reduce our reworks? Is it going to allow us to do things significantly quicker? There's a return in there, right? So you can invest in the things that are going to give you a return, because effectively they're free.
Yep.
If the return is good enough.
Yep. And quite often there's two things in that statement. There's one around investment. So if I was one of your team members and you've asked me for some ideas, and I've got 2 or 3 really awesome ones, and one of them is quite expensive. Now, where it falls down is the transparency and the feedback loop. You'll go, okay, I'll think about that, but you forget to come back to me and go, hey, I've done some investigation. It's going to cost us 15 grand or whatever. It's still a great idea, but we're going to put that into next year's budget. Now, how many business owners don't do that feedback loop and then don't keep that list of of ideas and where things are in the priority as a transparent process? And it's all hidden. So I go, I gave you an idea, David. You've never told me anything about it. Now, you might be working your ass off around that idea, but you've just forgotten to update me on where your decision is. Now, research has shown if you just did that feedback going, hey, we're going to do this in, say, March next year, I'm going, awesome. Now I understand why it's going to be March next year. Then the other 80% of innovation or improvements, if I sort of use those interchangeably, probably 80% don't cost any money except for time. How many business owners out there know what the Eisenhower matrix is? And so for those listeners, it's a podcast. It's terrible to put a vision into it, but it's just a matrix of on the bottom, it's impact. On the other side of the graph, it's effort. And so if it takes a little bit of effort, but it's massive impact, it's a just do it. And a lot of those ideas do not cost significant amounts of money, but we just don't drive those and prioritize those. So even now, this episode, encourage SMB owners, go and Google the Eisenhower matrix, draw it on our famous brown paper, and then you put the post-it notes across that matrix. And then you'll see what you can quickly tick off versus 2 or 3 things that might be a little bit longer, maybe because of the complexity or the investment. Simple stuff.
I like it. So I've got 5 things. Make time to work on your business. Get ideas from your team on opportunities for improvement and prioritize them. Allocate a budget. Take action and make innovation visible. Give your team feedback on your progress and the roadmap. So if we think about those 5 things, like you say, the budget might be $100, but if most of the things are free, $100 is going to go a long way, especially when you start getting the benefits from the low-hanging fruit, let's call it. And some of those bigger, crazier ideas you can start working towards so that you can achieve them later on. And then the great thing is you can have team members that you can put in charge of those and have them run them and start building competency across your business.
You pretty much described what how I work with clients out in the real world, but absolutely. And a lot of that stuff is innovation. Like, I was telling you before we started, innovation is out of constraints, and the most famous constraint or the model of, or the work practice or the business model that came out of constraints is the Toyota production system, because they had the constraints of money, people, factory space, and materials, because they were all out of the back of World War II, and the constraints were those 4 things. So they had to create a system and a model of a way of working that made them successful within those constraints. So innovation is born out of, man, we just don't have time, or we just don't have the budget. Well, sorry, some of the world's most successful businesses have been able to overcome that. Just got to get a little bit more clever and put in time aside. Some of the best examples of businesses implementing lean, they give team members half an hour every day to fix a problem that bugs them. That's compound interest of productivity. Simple.
Yep. Simple, but simple isn't always easy.
Simple is one of the hardest things to achieve. Simplicity and discipline to keep doing it. And I think that We talk about simplicity. I've just read the book Simplicity. We forget about the discipline of doing this all the time, doing this on a regular basis. And when we go back to the point of this episode, which is talking around innovation, we don't have the discipline to put time aside to think differently, come up with new ideas or different ideas, or going off to learn, going to experiment, all of those things. We don't have, if it didn't work once, we'll never do it again. So that was a fail. No, that experiment didn't work, but maybe the next one next week will. So have the discipline to keep turning up.
That's good. As I'm changing my 5 points, point 1 is discipline, point 2 is ideate and plan, point 3 is allocate a budget, point 4 is take action, and then point 5 is visibility.
Yep. It's pretty much the inside of how I work with businesses. So yeah, absolutely.
Gave away your secret sauce.
And that's innovation. Innovation, as you said, is not invention. Innovation is just problem solving and coming up with a collection of ideas that are going to be applied that is unique for your business. That's innovation.
So we've spent a bit of time going over how we view innovation, some of the challenges that we see out there, and some of the ways that we think you can start approaching innovation in your business. Some of the big things that we want you to take away from this is start instilling the discipline of innovation. Make time to work on your business. Ideate and plan. Get ideas from your team on the different opportunities they see to improve how your business operates and prioritize those. Allocate a budget. Make it known to everybody that there is a budget and what it's used for. Most importantly, take action and make it visible. Make innovation a thing that your team see and they get feedback on your progress and what the roadmap is, so they know where their ideas are in the grander scheme of things. So that's it from us today. Thank you.